Hello, and my first video of 2022. So, I was going through this box of junk yesterday, trying to see what was worth keeping and what wasn't, and I came across this, which is an old friend. This is my first variable DC power supply. Bought for me, I think, in around 1979, 1980, although it's all a blur because I can't remember that hardly what I did yesterday, let alone 1980. But anyway, this was obviously bought from Tandy's because it's got Micronta on the front of it, and in those days it must have been wonderful for me to have something like this. Up till then I'd been making do with whatever I had. I'd made very simple power supplies before with capacitor, bridge rectifier capacitor transformer, and maybe a Zener diode and a transistor, but you really need something that's got variable DC output, as I was getting more into electronics in those days. So my dad must have bought me this from Tandy's, sadly long gone, as is my dad, but that's another story. Anyway, from what my memory's right, well, you can tell by the front panel that it goes from 0 to 25 volts, and it has a maximum output of 1.25 amps, which was probably all I would have needed in those days. And if we have a look at the state of it, it's in fairly bad condition. Well, it is over 40 years old. It's probably in better condition than I am, and I'm a lot older than that. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty bad condition. I mean, I know that it was outside for some time, in a shed, I mean, not outside in the rain. A damp shed, and it's got really rusty and paint's coming off, and I was trying to decide whether I should give it a decent burial or try and resurrect it and see if it worked, and could have a quick look inside it before I turn it on. And I think I've been in there many times, probably by the looks of things. It's a very rusty transformer, bit of dodgy wiring, but I think that's the way things were in those days. I mean, there's no insulation on the transformer terminals, and I think the main switch is on the front, so that'll be the main switch. So the bottom switch down, well, you can't see very well, down there's the main switch, and you've got a switch for current and amps, volts, on the meter. And I think this must have suffered quite badly at some time in its life, because I can see difficult to get the light in the right place. Best I can do, I think. But there's a track which is obviously melted at some point. I've had to bodge that with a wire, and it looks like the main regulator chip's been removed and replaced at some point. And I can also see down here that I've put in some capacitors, because they wouldn't be original, and they're from the terminals, the plus and minus terminals on the front, down to earth, which I've just soldered to the nut that holds the capacitor down there. But it looks as if one of those has gone short circuit at some point, because it's a bit black, and I've just cut the leg off. I probably put these in to stop it picking up RF power and making the output go all over the place. So yeah, it's in pretty sad condition. But I'm going to check it, see if it works. If it doesn't, I should try and fix it. I'm not going to go over the top with it because it's not a lot of use to me really, this power supply these days. It's the sort of thing you might give to somebody who's just getting into electronics, which is what I should do with it if I ever find anybody who wants something like that. So what I think I'll do is I'll just turn the power on. I won't even stick it on a variac. If it blows up, it blows up. So just turn the power on. Right, that's a bit low, 200. That's 230 volts now. So I'll just switch it on. And okay, well that looks fairly promising. We've got some indication on the meter, and it goes down to 0. And all the way up. Oh, it doesn't quite go all the way up. So either the meter's off, or the power supply itself is off by a fair bit. But we'll stick a multimeter on it and see what it reads. Get the multimeter in. Alright, that's on the highest setting. So we've got 24.74. So it looks like the meter might be off a bit. And I turn it down to what should be 10 volts. It's 11.3. See, I've got it on 10 volts now. Hard to see through the crud on the meter. But I might take the front panel off and the meter off and give it a bit of a clean up. Okay, let's turn it right down to 0. And okay, again we've got a problem, not with the meter but with the actual power supply. So it's going down to minus 0.45. I think there's some adjustments I think I saw in there. Let's have a look. Well, we've got two pots there, and therefore the meter, I think, I'm pretty sure they'll be for the meter. And I did see something around the other end. Okay, we've got some more around here, and they say 24 volts adjust and 0 volts adjust. So I'll just balance that there and stick the meter back on it. Right, so I'm going to try and adjust the 0 volt one when I can find the right tool. I think those pots are really dodgy after all this time. Okay, well I've got that down to 0, near enough. Turn it up to 24, I think it said. Right, that's 24 on the meter and it's reading 25. If I turn it all the way up, that's 26. So I think we need to tweak the other one. That part is quite dodgy. I don't think there's much point in doing this before I've sprayed the pots, so I'll just do that. Okay, pots have been sprayed, so I'm going to try to, I've got it all the way, turned all the way up on the front panel, which should be 25, so let's see if I can adjust that to get exactly, that's good enough for me. Let's turn it all the way down now and see if that's affected the bottom end. It's not too bad now, but I'll just give it a bit of a tweak. I think that part needs turning a bit to get it right. Single turn part is always difficult to get it exactly right. Okay, that's 0. Turn it right back up to 25 again. 25.4. So they're interdependent, so I'm going to keep twiddling till I get this right. Oh, that's near enough. Back down to 0 again. And we've got a slight error, but it's not critical. Just maybe, because you don't really want a negative voltage. Okay, that's 0. Back up again. 25.2, 25.16. That's good enough for me. And let's have a look at the when my cables will stay, probes will stay on. So I want to see what the front panel meter does. Okay, that's on 25 and the meter's a bit low. So, because I didn't check the 0 adjustment when it was turned off, and sadly the screw is missing. Oh, it doesn't like that either. It's magnetic. So it is a bit out. I wonder if I can get in there with something. I might have to try and get into that meter. So I did manage to get something in the front of the meter, and I've adjusted it so it's 0 when it's turned off. But I've now got the output at 10 volts, and it should be on the 10 volt reading, obviously. So if I can tweak that a bit. Alright, 10.1ish, and let's turn it right up. Oh dear, so 25 is way over, that's a bit poor. Let's try 20, and that's reading only 8. Alright, let's put it onto 20. I think it's going to be a matter of doing the best you can, and it'll be, let's try doing it at 25 volts then. .25 volts, and I bet the rest of it will be out now. That's should be 15, and that should be 10. Well, I don't think there's much more I can do with it. It's just the way it's going to be. Try it on 5. It's not great though, that meter. No, it's off. Right, let's try that. That's not bad now. 20 is 19.4. I think that's not too bad at all now. 5, it's reading 5.3, 0 is 0. Probably the best I'm going to get with a rather poor. It does seem to be changing. Well, I'm not going to mess around with this all day because I'm sure it'll be good enough for what it is. You just got to remember that it needs checking with a voltmeter if you were going to use it. So what I'd like to do with it now, apart from cleaning it maybe, is stick a load on it. So I'll stick an electronic load on it and see what it does. Okay, I know the electronic load display is going all over the place. I can't do much about that, but I've set it to 10 volts and it's reading 10 volts on here, and I've set the current to 100 milliamps. We'll go easy on it to start with. After all, it has been lying around for many years with no use. So if I turn that on there, I'm actually getting, I don't know if you can see it, but it says 100 milliamps, so it's working fine at 100 milliamps. Now the question is, does the current meter work on this? Oh, that's dodgy as hell. Okay, let's try a bit more current. Half an amp. Try half an amp, and it's still working fine on this electronic load, but it appears that the current meter is doing nothing at all for some reason. So I suspect a dodgy switch. Yes, I think it could be a dodgy switch because it's not too good on voltage either. I don't know. I think it needs squirting. Maybe it'll need more than that. No, the valves part works, but I think it's going to need more than that. A quick squirt. The switch feels really dodgy. I think it's going to have to come out. So let's just forget any more tests for the time being. Okay, I'm back. I had to take this switch out. It was really bad condition. I had to use very fine emery cloth paper to clean up the contacts. They were so badly tarnished. And now, if I switch to amps, I'm on half an amp, and I can change that. 0.4 amps, 0.3, 0.2, 0.1, and go up to 700 milliamps. It's not tremendously accurate, and that says 1 amp. Well, that should be 1 amp. So I don't know if tweaking it's going to make much difference, but we could try. Okay, that's 1 amp. See how, yeah, it's not terribly accurate, this meter. Maybe that's the way it always was, who knows. I mean, it isn't the highest quality thing ever made. 1 amp, 1.1 amp, and it's going into current limit at 1.1 amp, which I guess is near enough what it should be. Okay, we'll call it a 1 amp power supply. That's what we'll do with it, because you won't get much more than that out of it before it shuts down. And that now seems to be working fairly well. I'll just drop that down. So that's 10.4 and it's reading 10 point something around there. 15, near enough. 14.7. I don't know if you can see this, because I know it's multiplexing. And I'm going to turn the bloody thing off for the time being. I guess before I take it all apart, if I can be bothered, I should maybe check the main capacitor in it. The main smoothing capacitor is down there. Any guesses for what it would be? I think I'm going to guess it's 2200 microfarad, and I guess I need to discharge it, really, which I'm going to do with a crocodile clip, just in case. Yeah, there is a bit of charge in it, because I don't want to blow up my nice capacitance meter. If I can get in there. So which is positive then? That's got to be positive. And that one's got to be, yeah, got it in there. Right. So I reckon it's, I know you shouldn't test it in circuit, but there we are. I'll switch it to 100 Hertz. No, 100 Hertz. So I thought 2, yeah, so there you are, 2300. So it was what I thought it would be. And let's do its ESR. Seems rather low. Find that a bit hard to believe. Wonder if it's still got some charge in it. Try again. $2,300. That's exceptionally low ESR, if you can believe that. Don't really think I can believe that, but I'm not going to worry too much about it anyway. As far as I'm concerned, that's a good capacitor, and I don't think it's worth replacing, even though it's over 40 years old. So really, this thing just needs tidying up. If I can get the front panel off and the meter out. Bloody camera. Anyway, yeah, it uses for the regulator chip, if you can see down in there, it's a 14-pin chip. That's an LM723 or UA723, or whatever variety of 723 you can imagine. And they've been around a long time now, those chips. I've always found them to be a very useful little linear regulator. You know, it only produces 150 milliamps, I think, or maybe 100 milliamp. But you can add series pass transistors like they have here with a 3055. And I built a power supply years ago using a 723 that would produce, I think, 30 amps at 13.8 volts. And they're very useful little chips. They've got current limiting, whatever. But of course these days it's all gone switch mode, hasn't it? So take it apart, I think, and get it cleaned up and do something about this dodgy mains lead that's hanging out the back. I can find a strain relief grommet of some sort. Okay, so it's been cleaned up a bit. Not so as you'd notice really, because you can't get rid of all this scratching and pitting and whatever from the damp. Tried to clean off the meter, but then the paint started coming off the white paint. I was only using sort of washing up liquid, diluted, but whatever, can't be helped. What else have I done to it? Not much really, just tidied up on the inside, made it a bit safer, put some insulation over the mains connections, and redid a few of the solder joints that were looking a bit dodgy, and that's about it really. It's still working. It's at the moment connected up to the electronic load, and if you can see that there, if I turn it load on at 1 amp, it does 1 amp without any problems at all. Don't know how hot it would get in use. Probably not too much, too hot, that transistor. And I don't think it's too noisy either on its output, because if I look over at the scope, which I've got wired across the output, this is with the electronic load on, and all those spikes are just due to the electronic load. If I turn the load off, see the spikes go away. We're left with some residual noise, 200 millivolts of division I'm on. But if I turn the power supply off, the noise doesn't go away. It's just picking up noise, the scope, off the connection to the electronic load. If I turn the power supply back on, the noise doesn't change at all. So turn the load back on, and there we get the spikes back again, which will be how the electronic load works. I suppose a better way to test it would be with a resistor, which wouldn't produce any noise. But there we are then. That's really the end of it. What I'll do with it, I don't know. Probably never get used, but maybe it could be useful if I need a third power supply, as I've got a dual one already. Only thing to do now is put the lid back on it. So, and yeah, just check the meter again. Our meter, that's reading 1 amp, as it should do. So that's all good. Could change the current reading. That's 0.5 amp, and it's reading that without too much problem at all, fairly accurately. Yeah, so I just put the lid back on, and so that's really the end of the video. Not very exciting, I'm afraid, but it's the best I can do at the moment. Bye for now.